When your daughter's learning how to drive and says,
But, can I drive?
you say,
Híjole. Here we go.
but what you should say is something that helps protect your ride.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And that's where State Farm comes in, to help you choose the coverage you need, so you can relax until you hear,
Can we pick up my boyfriend?
Wait, what?
like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Cryptids, Creeps and Conspiracy. The following content may involve explicit language and materials, so listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back, everyone. With us today again is Miss Liz from Ouch Was That a Ghost? I'm super excited because I'm pretty sure we're going to have a couple duos here. So definitely go check her out because we're about to double whammy this crap. So check her out, man. It's going to be awesome.
Heck yeah. Thank you for having me on.
Definitely.
So today we're doing New York cryptids.
Oh, New York. Okay.
New York, or NYC, filled with skyscrapers and phenomenal pizza. I don't know if you've ever been or had any.
Which one's that? Is it Chicago? Which one is it that they put the toppings on wrong? They put them on inside
That's
out.
a deep dish pizza. Chicago does all weird stuff. They do like the
Ugh.
tomato on top. I'm not about that. New York is
Yeah.
like thin, cheesy, delicious pizza.
I
Whatever
know, I
kind
really-
you want. Oh,
I like the thick crust, man.
what?
Yeah.
You stay in Chicago then. Forget it. Don't
I
even
like
come
my
to New York.
crust. I like my crust like me, thick.
No, I'm a thin pizza or bar pizza. That's what I like.
I like stuffed crust. Can't beat the stuffed crust pizza, man. Oh, so good.
But the vibrant streets packed with hustle and bustle, you can see some strange people and some strange creatures. I just picked a few of the many cryptids said to reside in New York. Of course, there's the honorable mention of Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and Nessie, but they deserve their own episode, so we're not even going to touch
Yeah. Can't touch this.
them.
Man, that shot was great.
Yeah. So the first cryptid is the Oogie of Onondaga Lake. I say everything perfectly, don't worry.
Whew.
No, it's all.
I have no idea what that one is.
It's a water creature often compared to a giant salamander. It was first spotted in the 1970s when a Boy Scout went camping by the lake with his troop. He brought home this abnormally large salamander, and he loved it and took care of it. But like many kids do, he got bored with the pet, so the salamander was returned to the lake. Once he went back to the lake, the salamander, it was covered in toxins from pollution, and the salamander
Oh, okay.
morphed into Ogie. So-
Super salamander.
It would be cool, but to me, it's just like a cautionary tale.
It's like a Super Saiyan. I am such a nerd. Super Saiyan salamander.
Super Saiyan. So you're, what do you say at the end of it? Cryptid or crap?
Yeah, cryptid or crap.
So what do you consider that?
So, because I have a child that at one point went through this horrible stage of watching every possible Discovery dinosaur show, there actually was a salamander that was like as big as a school bus.
What?
Shit you not. Yeah, back in prehistoric times, there was a salamander. I remember it had a spade-shaped head, and it was just massive, but it had like these short little legs. But yeah, it was huge, and they actually did exist. Now, depending on where he got this, how did he get the salamander? Do we know? Was it like a pet shop or
It was a
it-
lake. He was camping with
So
his
he got
Boy
it
Scout
from
troop.
the lake. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it
How
was
big is the
still
lake?
a baby. It's the
Is it like
Onondaga Lake. But when he first got it, it was small. Like it was bigger than it should
Yeah.
have been, but it was still pet sizable. You can bring it home.
But you gotta think, my child was also bigger than an average baby, and he's still bigger than an average child, which is funny coming from me being like 2 foot tall. But they really did. Depending on how big they're saying it is, I can't decide. Is there like a topped out length or anything on it.
Abnormally large.
I'd say if it's abnormally large, I would say possibly cryptid. Now, if they were saying maybe a 20, 30 footer, then maybe I would say crap, just depending on the size of the lake and the size of the salamander. There's a lot of sisses in here. I'm glad I don't have a list. I have not had enough to drink because I could still say that.
I only did half an hour research, so I can't really find. And when I'm looking up how big is Ogie, it's bringing me to like
This sounds dirty.
the Nightmare Before Christmas. It
Oh,
keeps
Oogie
popping him
Boogie?
out. Yeah.
Oogie Boogie?
There
See
probably
if you
is.
see if you can search the Oogie or whatever cryptid size and see if that gives you anything. If you throw in the word cryptid, sometimes it gets rid of the extra crap. There's a cryptid wiki site too. You can search it on there.
The lake itself is 4.6 miles and 1 mile wide. So we got that. Now
That's-
we're looking at.
I guess it's pretty big, right? I don't know, guys. Size doesn't matter. Fall. Mario's the lie detector test determined that was a lie. But yeah, I'm just wondering if it's like it's exceptionally big and it's the size of a ferret, then yeah, I can see that being a thing. But if it's like a Great Dane or like a walrus or something, I love how I go from that to that. But
Even
that
on Cryptid
maybe
Wiki, I'm not getting any size.
weird.
Yeah.
It's all mysterious.
But I do love that it
Mm-mm.
could be a dinosaur that was left over.
Yeah, my thing though is in a lake that size, the salamanders that we saw on this Discovery Channel show, I don't think that it could possibly exist in that lake without everybody knowing it's there. This thing was huge. And it not only stayed in the water, obviously, because it's a salamander, it also walked on land to hunt. So someone would see this shit. See what I'm saying? And it
The
was like,
beach.
doosh, doosh. Like, it was massive.
Yeah.
So, if it's not saying that it's a prehistoric salamander, I would say possibly cryptid, just because maybe it's. Well, and the only thing it did was get bigger. There's no other bioluminescence or anything like that with the pollution. Just a
Not
really
that
big lizard.
Not that I saw, but I didn't spend too much time researching this. How long I threw this together.
We'll just say I think that it's possible given the lack of. Now, granted, also the lack of description would make it crap. On the fin.
Okay, on the fence.
I can't throw a flag on the play quite yet. I need more details.
I like that that's an option. Cryptid crap or on the fence.
Yeah, we're just cryptid crap. We're crapping on the fence. God, that'd be difficult. I hope it's an electric fin.
Ew.
But we'll be puckering. Oh, geez. I'm so sorry, listeners.
Okay, so another cryptid also found in the water, in bodies of water near Roscoe, New York, the Beemock are said to reside. These are huge, two-headed fish. The story goes that a fish couldn't
Cryptid.
decide. You already know? You know about this one?
No, but I know that I live by the White River, and we have two-headed, like, frogs. We have weird shit in our... Because all the pollution comes down from Indianapolis down the river. So if you go north of Indianapolis, you have these beautiful clear river, right? It's beautiful. But then once you get south of that city, it just gets worse and worse. You can't even see. Sorry. You can't even see through the water. You can't stick your hand like an inch down in the water. You can't see it. It is gross. So like we all know you can fish in the river, but you never keep it. You never eat it because it's messed up. And there's some weird stuff that pops out of that river.
I can't believe you said there's frogs with two heads.
Yeah. So go ahead with the fish with two heads. Sorry.
The story goes that a fish couldn't decide which way to go. Sounds like me. And after pulling itself in different directions, a second head popped out. And the heads aren't copies, like they're two different heads. And these two distinct heads, some people say talk to each other with clicks or whistles.
Crap.
Like, and each head has razor sharp teeth covered with scales, but the scales are like a way that the light kind of bounces off of them, so you can't really
Mhm.
track them underwater. But there have been encounters and sightings. Some fishermen say that this two-headed creature stole their catch, which I do think that's probably crap. They're like, I
Yeah, that's probably
this
crap.
thing that was
Oh,
3
it was this big. I was fighting it for 2 hours. Fighting it for 2 hours, and you pull it up as a freaking boot. I'm just gonna say it was a two-headed fish.
And the most well-known encounter was in 1972 when a group of campers, I forget what they were doing. They all said that they saw the creature and the descriptions did match. Some say it's
Okay.
like a Simpsons polluted fish situation, or exaggeration, or misidentification, or like a mutated fish.
Like I said, we've seen some weird crap come out of our river. So two-headed fish is not necessarily off the books. I don't think that it's necessarily something that would be so intelligent, just in fish in general, to be so intelligent to use some kind of like echolocation type sounding stuff to communicate. So I think cryptid, but embellished.
Okay.
There we
So
go.
no crapping
We're not
on
crapping on the
fence.
fence.
Like
No, I think it's probably something that's blown out of proportion. But do they say how big it is, or do they just say fish?
fish.
Okay. So that's good though. They're not like, oh my god, this 50-foot fish was like in the water, and some bitch was like, we're gonna need a bigger boat. And there are fish that are made like catfish. You can't. I mean, granted, they're not really scaly, but you can't see them under the water. But anything generally with scales, you can't really see a crocodile doesn't really have scales, does it? But I guess scales are scales. It doesn't have to be shiny. They
Right.
can be whatever color. I'm sure there's fish that have scales that you don't see. Hold on, there's a
You're a little
arapaima.
nature
Arapaima's a
nerd.
little like, yeah, I am a little nature. I watched a lot. I watched a lot. Oh my gosh, oh, woo, that shot's kicking in. I watched a lot of river monsters, and there were some like a gator gar. You can't see them, but they're scaly. Dude, look them up. They're freaking dope as shit, man.
Gator gar.
And we have them in our river too. We go bow fishing for them.
What do you do when you catch them?
I don't know if they survive, but you put them back, I guess.
Why would you?
Yeah. Or there's also the arapaima, but I think the arapaima, they're huge, but I think that they're pretty shiny. But I'm pretty sure a gator gar is not. And there's, I think, Mel's musky shiny. I think they're pretty bland. Trout are also pretty bland. Oh my gosh, I really am a nerd.
Yep.
Whew. All the information you didn't realize you knew. My kid
Then-
would be so proud of me right now.
I can name all the Power Rangers for my kids.
See, and I don't even know if I can name the Power Rangers. I know it's green, white, black, pink, and yellow.
And
And
white.
wait,
Come on,
White
Tommy.
and black.
Yeah.
I was just wondering whether or not I said that before I continued with the rest of the list. I was like, wait, did I say that one already? But, all right. So we're going to go
All right.
cryptid on this one.
Okay.
But I don't know if it'd really be a cryptid, though, because a cryptid is a species that's not been identified. This one clearly probably already has been identified. It's just a mutation. And I don't think that mutation would probably happen in the same way with another fish in the same species. Let's say monster, but not necessarily cryptid.
Okay.
Weird anomaly, but not an unidentified species because there's probably not going to be a population in the area.
I hope
Let
not.
me get all scientific on you
Of
there.
all these clicky fish.
I'm fixing my tie right now, and I'm fixing my nerdy glasses right now. I'd like to say there's probably not a population in the water large enough to constitute a cryptid ranking, a classification,
Perfect.
a cool cryptid classification. I like that. I'm gonna have to use that.
And then we have Old Greenie, who is said to reside in the Cayuga Lake. Old Greenie was first sighted in the 19th century. This lake-dwelling creature is said to be, this actually has a length, about 13 to 15 feet long. It's said to resemble an eel with a more powerful bite that can actually break bones. Some say it's an undiscovered species of eel or a prehistoric creature that survived. Some say pictures that were taken of it make it look like a rock.
That's a nice boulder. I like that boulder. You have a rock that's 13 feet long and you mistake it for a eel. What? I can't
I
even right
couldn't-
now.
Because
I
I was
can't
reading the
even right now.
description and at the bottom, or it could be a rock. I'm like, okay.
But, so I guess sometimes there are rocks that are shaped like certain things. So I guess if there's a stationary rock that maybe just pops out of the water just enough to look like those fake Nessie photos, I could see. But then if you see it enough, somebody's probably swam out there and been like, "This is a rock." It'd be pretty easy to discredit.
Since talking to you, I feel like a lot of these might be just ignorant people that don't know these type of fish, like myself, that will look at it and be like, I didn't even think, like that thing that you just showed me, the gator thing. If I looked
And
that
the
up,
gator
I'd be like,
gar?
oh, that's a cryptid. That's not a real
Yeah.
animal. That's not a
Well,
real
and
fish.
And those gator gar have been around since prehistoric times. Those are literally swimming dinosaurs.
Mhm.
They are fascinating creatures. They are gnarly too. You do not want to get in a scuffle with one of those motherfuckers, like at all. But I think pretty much they don't really attack people necessarily. They're not aggressive. But if you got in the wrong situation where they mistook you for prey, it probably would not be great.
Yeah, and this old greenie bit, I think it was a teen or a young boy. So he could have been small enough that
You know, what
he
would
felt
be
endangered.
interesting? Yeah, what would be interesting to know is what kind of native fish populate that area to know if there's anything that would bite similar. Because you have everything from you've got the ones that are basically filter feeders and they've just got bristles essentially. You've got the catfish that really don't have any teeth; they just swallow your ass whole. Which there are some that are big enough that they literally will, like when people noodle. Do you know what noodling is?
Yep.
Okay, so when people go noodling, you've got to be careful because sometimes the catfish is so big and it's so strong that when you put your hand down there, it grabs it, but you can't get it out. And then you can't get out. So then you
Ah.
drown. Yeah, a lot of people, you got to be really careful when you're noodling because you actually have to go under most of the time to get these things. And then if you can't get out, obviously you drown. But then you also have the gator gar that are very punctual. You know, they could definitely do a number on you, hence the gator gar. They have a name for a reason. But then you have stuff like the arapaima. They don't necessarily have, or like the flying fish. They don't really have teeth, but these motherfuckers fly and they go so fast that they can literally hit you in the chest and put you into cardiac arrest.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a problem. So I guess, and then also, what else do they have in the water? Are there snakes in the water? Are there eels? I don't know where eels typically are. I feel like they're primarily like saltwater, aren't they? I have no idea about eels.
You don't. You're trying to make yourself look dumber than you are, and nobody's buying it.
Here's my ticket. Come on. Got the guy with the trench coat. Buy a ticket. At least I hope it's just ticket. But without evidence, without a photo of the bite wound to see what it looks like in comparison to anything else in the area, not knowing what the other fish is. I mean, essentially, it sounds like a big eel or a rock, which
I was
seems
gonna
like
say,
totally.
no matter what, I'm saying rock, just because it's so
Yeah,
funny.
we're gonna go with crap on this one just because it's funny. Yeah, because I'm just like, if there's a freaking rock, you're gonna know. It's obviously not gonna move. So if you go to the same place 5 times in a week, even, it's gonna be a problem.
Agreed.
So we're gonna throw crap on the play, throw in a white flag on the play.
Okay. And then there's the Sherman beasts. Beasts.
Okay, this is
Beasts.
promising.
Okay.
Something finally out of the water. Crap.
In
Okay.
1970, a teen from Sherman, New York, sent a letter to John Keel, who's the author of Mothman Prophecies.
Yep.
Where the teen described a couple of huge beasts that would enter the swamp on his parents' property. So they're in and out of the water. So this is from Cryptid Fandom. Quote, the letter from a young man in Sherman, New York. He wrote, I'm writing because 3 or 4 years ago, this was around 65, 66.
Okay.
I saw a white monster in a swamp beside our house. I have been seeing these things ever since then and close to our house. One night, it came down in our yard. The letter continued with a description of the colossal beast. It stands between 12 and 18 feet high. It has a long tail between 6 and 8 feet long. It's all covered with hair. They're always white. I've seen them alone or two at a time. It can walk on 2 feet or 4 feet. It's almost a double for a prehistoric sloth. My whole family has seen this thing, and I know of 2 more men who have seen them. I am 15 years old, and I am not kidding. I have seen these things, and they are real, which seems crazy, but in Brazil, there are tales of Mapinguari that closely resembles how he described the Sherman beast, but the Brazilian one, the description does say that they have backwards feet, 1 eye, and an exposed heart. But this guy didn't say that they didn't have backwards feet, 1 eye, and an exposed heart.
Sounds like there's a little bit of inbreeding going on or something. Somebody needs to travel outside the gene pool a little bit. We need to wander. Incest is not best. Do not put your brother to the test. Oh, so is that the end of his account?
That's the end.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt you. So I know that,
And just so you
now-
know, he's pretty much the only account, and he says that other people saw it too, but he's like the only source.
yeah, I feel like if nobody else is willing to back him 100%, if he's just, oh yeah, my brother saw it or whatever. Yeah, I'd be like, hey, little brother, listen, see what's going on. But aside from the long tail, I would almost travel to say, what if it is an albino Bigfoot? Because if you think about it, the albino Bigfoot, if there is an albino Bigfoot, which is probably going to be, I've seen albino deer, and they're not very popular, obviously. They're very rare. But if you have that genetic defect, and there is such a small population in the area of whatever this thing is, if there is an albino, you're more than likely going to end up with another one.
Right.
So it might be a genetic defect in some kind of creature that's already there, which is making it white. Now, I'm going to poo. Ready? Here we go. I don't know much about this area, but a lot of times in these water areas, you get this almost like a sea foam, right? Where it's bubbly and it's white and you get everything that kind of links together. So what if it was a creature that wasn't necessarily white, but it came out of the water, and when it went through the water, whatever the case may be, and when it came up, it did find a patch of that stuff, and then once it was there, it just stuck to the fur. So it looked like it was like foamy and white and frothy, which if that was the case, it wouldn't add like a whole foot, but it would add a little bit of stuff.
Yeah.
And what if the tail wasn't necessarily long? It was just something was stuck to it. Okay, this is, all right. When you have a dog, sometimes a dog, I have a very fuzzy dog, okay? One of them. And if he decides he's going to poop and I haven't cut his hair, sometimes the little turd sticks to his tail, right? And he goes running through the yard because something stuck to his tail and he can't figure out how to get it off. And you guys think these are wild animals, right? So they don't really have a lot of cleanliness or hygiene practices, or they don't
No
get
Charmin
haircuts and
bears
all
out
that.
there. Yep.
Yeah, no Charmin bears. So what if it's just this tail is not necessarily a tail? It's just, how far is the house from the water? If it's coming out of the water and the house is close, it might be coming out and then like eventually it's going to clean itself off. But at the time when it pulls out, it looks like it's a tail.
True.
So maybe
So it's really a crap on the swamp.
maybe
fence.
it's a cryptid crapping.
Okay.
I'm struggling with the fact that there's one encounter from a child. Now, granted, my son has talked to me, which he explained to me something that he saw in the woods. So he was telling me, he's like, man, I saw something really weird in the woods. And this kid, he doesn't take any medicine or anything like that. He was hunting. So he was obviously awake and alert. And he's like, man, I saw this thing walking through the woods. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I don't know what it is, but since you do weird stuff, maybe. I'm like, okay.
Since you're weird, Mom. Yep.
Yeah, since you're into weird stuff. So he starts describing this thing to me. And I'm listening to him and I'm like, wait a minute. So I draw like a little doodle on a notepad, and I was like, does this look like what it was? And he was like, that's exactly what it looks like. It's a freaking hat man.
Ew.
And he said this mofo was like 10, 12 feet tall, and it was literally just walking through the woods like nonchalant. Don't mind me. And it didn't realize that he saw it, like nothing. He was like, I wasn't about to make any noise or nothing. Like I just sat there and shut my mouth. And he said he's seen it more than once in the woods. And even though it comes from like a teenager, I mean, my kid knows, and this has been a couple years ago. So he was probably like 11. So I know a lot of people poo, as the Kryptonaut podcast would say, the whimsy of a child.
It depends
But
on the child, though, and it depends on the situation. You know what I mean? You can't just dismiss what they say.
and I mean, he did say he saw it more than one, and both times he saw whatever, it was the same size. Which also, if you're coming out of the foam, the odds of you coming out of the foam at the same time, that's so maybe it is something that's albino, but I don't think there's anything out there with a 6 or 8 foot tail unless it's just something that's just caught a bunch of crap on it. It's dragging it out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say cryptid pooping.
Okay. And I changed the order of the cryptids to fit what you just told me. The next one is called a high hat. It's a large humanoid that roams around with a high stovepipe hat. And
Okay.
this humanoid is a cannibal with sharp teeth that roams around looking for children, his preference. And that's pretty much it.
So there's no actual physical description of this thing. This sounds like a boogeyman situation.
He just looks
This
like
is
a man.
With the bees, the Candyman, or Slender Man. That's seriously screams. Oh my god! Now I probably couldn't do the S's right now, but it seriously screams like a. Help me out here. Spooky. Wait, creepy pasta.
Oh, yeah.
Spooky pasta. Oh god! Give me another shot. But it definitely seems like it's a story that's just told with no description, no eyewitnesses. I'm going to call crap on the play.
Okay, this next
Penalty,
one,
10 yards.
I don't even know why it's a cryptid, but I guess this is what it says. What's one of New York's cryptids? It's called the Oniate. I probably butchered that. AKA
Onye?
dry fingers or dry hands. It's described as a dried out hand attached to part of a dried out arm. Again, I
So
don't know
it's-
why it's a cryptid.
It's like Thing with psoriasis
Yeah.
or eczema.
And this Oniate can travel through the air to attack. So this arm, like this hand arm thing, is flying through the air, and its fingers are said to be able to kill, give diseases, or blind anybody that it touches. But it's like a Native American origin, so not too much is known about it.
It sounds cool, creepy, but it sounds kind of. So it's giving me this look, like I said, Thing, but like zombie-esque.
Mm-hmm.
It could do a lot of good if it didn't pass. Maybe it's. Oh my gosh, they can't see me right now, but oh my gosh. What if it's a precautionary tale to maybe some teenagers that don't want to catch a disease?
Oh, keep your
You know
hands
what
to
I'm saying?
yourself.
Keep your hands to yourself. Make sure you use lube and protection. I don't.
Could be.
It would go flying through the air. Like, how would it even propel itself?
I have no idea.
Man, I'm just like, oh wait, what if it's like gymnastic style? Like it finds like a limb or something, and it's, and like goes at the bars.
Use fingers to push off.
I'm just like, I'm gonna say crap, but it'd be cool. Even if it was, I wouldn't classify it as a cryptid. I'd probably classify it more as like an occult
haunted
folk
type
tale.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because where the hell the arm? It's got to have a body somewhere. And then what about the rest of the body? Is it walking around doing the same? What? Oh man, what if the one before it is the body, or it's a victim, the remnants of a victim of the last guy?
Of the hi-hat man.
Yeah. He ate all of it, but the arm got away.
It all ties together. I like it.
It's just like dry. Is it like, I'm guessing it's probably like flaky and maybe like
Ugh.
does a decomp or something. But doesn't it usually swell up and they don't really, this is like really old, then it's kind of mummified, which would be pretty dry.
Either way, I don't want it near me.
Yeah. I mean, if you get teach an old guy new tricks, you know what I'm saying? It would be
Ew.
helpful.
Gross.
If we could get rid of the disease and death part, that'd be great.
It's like a part of
Asking
a. It's a leftover
Ask-
part of the Tokoloshi.
asking for a friend.
Ah.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh God, I can totally see that being a Tokoloshi. Check out the Zimbabwe episode. Shameless plug. My pod, 3-part episode with
That was
Miss
so
Liz.
fun. That was so fun. So
Oh my
weird
gosh,
and
that
so
was-
fun.
I know they're so creepy. I still can't get over the fucking suitcase. But yeah, I'd say crap on cryptid, but maybe it's some kind of phantom occult something.
Okay.
Maybe they like tried to reanimate somebody and only the arm worked.
Just a leftover. Fine. Yeah.
Something happened with the spell. I don't know. Did you use enough goat blood? I needed 2 quarts. Ah, crap. I only gave you half.
They misread some words. Yep. Then we have the Manhattan Monster. This creature
Okay.
is said to have washed up under the Brooklyn Bridge. Said to have a snarling snout,
There we go.
a deformed face with 5 toes on each limb. And a picture was taken of this, and then theories began. It does look like just this weird warped pig. Like his face is what throws you off.
It is clearly a very decomposed body that just showed up as muck.
No, and like if you look it up, it really looks like a pig. The body is intact as a pig, but the face is what throws you off. And some people say it's a large rat, or somebody said it's a pig that someone was gonna cook but then decided not to, or an undiscovered animal, or some sort of mutation or animal experiment, or maybe it was just Splinter who got out of the sewers.
There's a big difference between a rat and a pig. Size-wise, there's a big difference. Splinter versus Babe. Let's see here. There's a big difference.
That's kind of what his face looks like, though. If you look at the picture, his mouth looks like a rat. The rest of him looks like a pig.
It sounds like something was just, maybe it was a dumping site, right? Maybe somebody was just dumping stuff and it broke loose and went down the river or whatever and then washed up. And so it looks like that because some of the stuff that you have that comes out of the ocean looks like that. If you see a whale that's partially decomposed and it comes up, it looks like a monster.
Mhm.
So maybe it just sounds an awful lot like a dumping site that just broke loose.
Okay.
Because that would make sense if you had a pig and for whatever reason it got out or whatever and it died, it's like decomposing in this river. What's going to come eat the pig? Rat. So what if the rats were there and just one of the rats didn't make it and it was just hanging out? And then all just got stuck together as a big giant pile of gunk? Maybe.
Maybe.
Again, with something that malformed and being that close to being 2 separate animals put together, I feel like there's got to be some sort of correlation. And if it was a thing, you think that more people would see it, right?
True.
I mean, you would think. But then again, everybody says you can't, there's a lot of ground to cover.
It is under the bridge, so people that walked by it were the only ones that saw it. But this picture was circulated. If you want to look it up and tell me what you think when you peek at it.
Yeah, it's like that Fiji mermaid. I'd say.
This signal is so funny.
I'm
I
called
hope
crap.
that this works.
Mine says it's loading. It's just a little slow.
Oh, okay. You calling crap? Okay.
I'm called crap.
And then we have the Hobgoblin of Fort Niagara.
I already like it.
A man claims that in the early 1800s, he got drunk. So as like a punishment, they just threw him in a hole. And then the drunk guy claims that a hobgoblin came to see him that night and told him to write him a song. And then about 10 years later, a soldier claims that he saw the creature and shot at it, and the thing ran away, and the soldier like knocked himself out.
I had such high hopes for this one. All right, the guy. How deep is the hole? Okay, the drunk guy actually tracked. Aside from him being drunk, a lot of times when you have these fae-like creatures, they do tend to be very musical, like dwarves and stuff like elves and stuff like that. They do tend to have a musical background, kind of like whenever I did an episode on the Mindhoon people. They were like Hawaiian. They were like fae. And they were very musical also. It's kind of, or maybe you just watched too many episodes of the Smurfs.
Or he just
But, I
drank
mean-
an awful lot, and he was having a grand old time by himself, too.
But I'm just thinking, if you throw them a hole, I'm like, I get it. Typically, they do say a lot of goblins, a lot of them like to be underground, right? They're usually more earthy kind of things. They'd be out and about in the woods and that kind of stuff, muddy and all that yuck. And they are very musical. So that one, as far as what I know about goblins, makes more sense. Now, this military whatever who knocked himself out like a freaking bozo. What is it, like Barney from Andy Griffith's show? And it doesn't say how he got knocked out. Like, how do you knock yourself
Well,
out?
it said he shot at the goblin with a rifle, and then he ran into a barricade and knocked himself out.
Oh my gosh. Clearly, he should not have passed basic training.
Or he was drinking too. Who knows?
Also true. Very solid argument there. You know what? I'm going to say this was possibly, and I don't necessarily classify fae as cryptid. So I would say crap, only because if it does exist, it wouldn't be a cryptid. It would be fae related.
Okay.
Which is more magical and less creature based.
I
We'll go
like
with
it. I like it.
Okay.
And then we have Kinderhook Blob.
I know this one.
You do?
Yeah.
All right. In the 1960s, at least 6 people reported seeing a floating blob. From Cryptid Fandom, quote, "When I was 10 years old in 1962, I was up in the woods behind our house with my cousin Sherry, who was then age 7. We both heard this really high-pitched whistle noise, and they looked for the source of the sound, and Hallenbach, the witness, described, quote, a white object peering at me from behind a pine tree. He would later clarify the statement saying, quote, I was peering, but in fact, I say peering, but in fact, it had no eyes that I could see. The 2 children hastily ran back to Hallenbach's parents' home."
Seafoam.
Seafoam?
Not seafoam, but muck. My thing is, when did the blob come out and when did these people see it? That's my question. I think the original blob came out like what, in the 60s, I think, maybe?
Oh, the movie. I thought you meant when
Yeah.
did this blob appear to them? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That seems to be a
And-
big thing with a lot of cryptids. It's right after the movie comes out. This thing
Yeah,
that really resembles it. Yep.
And this one isn't even really anything big. It's just like a
Unless-
mess of crap.
The cryptids, wow, I'm finally getting my recognition. And they go and show themselves.
So
Now's my time.
what is it when you do you see the crime shows, a press release. I'm doing my debut, bitches. Or like, what is it, Bob or whatever from Monsters vs. Aliens? I
Oh,
think
yeah. Yeah.
Seth Rogen plays him. Yeah. I think this was going to be crap. I'd say this is probably, with the information that you gave me, I would say crap. I know, again, oh my gosh, I so shout these guys all the time. It's Cryptid Podcast covered it too. That's how I know what it is. And I still like even they did a great job too, and I'm still gonna call crap. Either
Okay.
way, I don't. It's probably just a mess of stuff that people were just like wanting to be something.
All right. And lastly, we have Ludwig the Bloodsucker. This humanoid is said to have qualities of a vampire with dark hair on his head and coming out of his ears, in his nose, in every orifice. He's said to wait outside of bars and drink the blood of those who are stumbling home.
Cryptid. Think about it. If it is a vampire, it cannot get in the bar unless it's invited in. And he just wants he's an alcoholic vampire. And he just really wants the liquor. And he can't get it because he can't get in the bar. So he's just waiting for these assholes to stumble out. And he's like,
Yeah.
Zero bar
shot,
tab
shot,
feels.
shot. Oh,
Yep.
this is great. I think I need to sign up for this. I don't know if I would want the hair out of every orifice, but cryptid. Dope. It's dope as shit.
Okay.
It makes
I
sense.
like
It
that.
tracks. It tracks. I'm going to go vampire. It's an alcoholic vampire.
Love it. Didn't think of that. But yeah, New York is great. They have so many cryptids. They're the place that have good hoaxes too. If you know the Fox sisters, which I'm sure you know
Yeah.
that story.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
There was one other funny hoax that I saw when I was looking up cryptids. It's called the Cardiff Giant. It's a 10-foot tall, quote unquote, petrified man that weighed thousands of pounds. This petrified man was dug up and people flocked to it, including L. Frank Baum, the author of The Wizard of Oz, and P.T. Barnum from Barnum and
Oh,
Bailey.
yeah.
And it turns out that a man named George Hull made it because he got into some kind of argument with some clergy saying that he believed that giants did not exist and they thought that giants did exist. And he was like, it's so easy to fake one. I can fake one. And then they forgot about it and he did this whole thing and it turned out.
Oh, yeah. That's the worst. But at least he was willing to be like, it's a hoax. It's not. Oh, he just ran with it. Because he probably could have. Very easily could have.
Those are some of the best things, though, when
was
hoaxes
thinking
goes on
Gollum.
for years. Oh, yep.
Big, hulking man made of earth. Probably weighs thousands of pounds. Was it a highly Jewish community?
I'm not sure.
Because Gollum would make sense.
Yeah. No, he just made it up to prove a point. He was petty.
Oh my
I
gosh.
get that.
That is so awesome, though. Like, I love when people do that. Like, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe some of these creatures do exist.
Not very many. I think that most of them are crapping on the fence.
Just the drunk vampire. That's the only one that you're sure
Yep.
about.
I love the drunk vampire. We're going with that. That's my favorite. 1,000,000%. It's the only one. And the hobgoblin makes sense. So we have the hobgoblin and a drunk or alcoholic vampire.
I like it.
Okay. We'll go with that. That should be the title of the episode. Hobgoblins and the alcoholic vampire.
Yes.
And then people are going to listen and be like, what are they talking about? Till they get to the end. They're like, okay. Make them listen to the whole thing.
Hell yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Awesome. Thanks. It's got to be on.
Thank you for coming on. And if you
I'm
guys
pretty sure I'm
want
stuttering. Until next time, everybody. See you.
All right.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy. If you wouldn't mind, please take a moment and give the show a 5-star review wherever you're listening. I know it might not seem like much, but it greatly helps the show and allows people to find us more easily. Also, head on over to www.patreon.com/Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy and subscribe to any of the tiers. Members of the Big Show tier get bonus materials, personalized shoutouts on the pod, ad-free episodes, access to the private Discord server, quarterly appreciation gifts, and a chance to be on the show. Not to mention video versions of the episode. Before you go, don't forget to click the link in the description and grab yourself or someone you know some self-designed merch by me, or make a donation to help keep the show going and fund future events and investigations. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Threads, and TikTok. If you have any questions, topic recommendations, or personal encounters, please send them to Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy at gmail.com or submit them through the contact form at www.cryptidscreepsandconspiracy.com. I would love to hear from you and share your experiences on a listener episode. Just make sure that you specify that I have permission to add your encounter to the show and let me know whether or not you would like your real name read or an alias to maintain confidentiality. Thank you guys all again so much for your support. Until next time, my friends. See ya.